5 funding myths most entrepreneurs believe. 5 funding myths. Number 1 is I need capital to start. I need money to start. And I will always tell entrepreneurs this, when I encounter them, they tell me, oh, we need capital, so and so amount to start off. We need it. You can't do anything without capital. I tell them, you don't necessarily need capital to start. You need validation. You need proof of concept. You need validation. When you get these things right, you can raise capital. You'll be able to raise funding. You'll be able to raise, capital henceforth. But you don't necessarily need capital to start. So that's one of the things most entrepreneurs believe and say that, it bogs my mind. I'm like, you need to validate this idea. You need to validate this solution. 2, investors will invest in my idea. They would buy my idea. They would love my idea. Listen, investors do not invest in ideas. They don't fund ideas. They fund people. They fund execution. They fund traction. They fund milestones. So they want to see that you've started something. There are so many ideas. Most of these investors that you're going to with your ideas, most of them come across millions of ideas every day. Thousands of them. So you think they would give you money for your own idea? They would give you money when you show them something you've already started with, something you're working on. So they fund people, they fund the team, they want to see the quality of team members. They want to see traction you've made. They want to see, things you've achieved, impacts you've made so far. 3rd, grants are free money. Of course, I've had a lot of entrepreneurs. Oh, grants are free money. I can do anything I want with it. You know the concept of free. You can do anything you want with it and all of that. I've also helped a couple of young founders raise funding, especially grants. And, most cases, they misuse the funding. They don't get to build their businesses. Or because, of course, you don't get to repay that money. It's free money, and then they can just do anything with it and get away with it. You forget that the funding ecosystem is interconnected. So someone gives you a 10,000 USD fund and you don't utilize it. That person that gave you that money knows the next person that you're going to raise 20,000 from, knows the other person that you're going to raise 50,000 from. And funding, I will always say this, grants are tied to a course. They are tied to a solution, to a particular thing. You did a proposal, you wrote a concept note, you did an application to get that fund. And while doing that, you told them you're going to solve this problem. In this rural community, you're going to do this. You gave them a problem. You told them the solution you were bringing, and they gave you that. And they wanted you to implement that solution with the funding, and of course report impact, progress, milestones. But then when entrepreneurs misuse it and they tell you, no, it's just free money, I can get away with it, and they end up blocking their way in raising more funding. So grants are not free money. Yes, you don't get to repay them, but they are tied to impact. They are tied to a cost. 4, all money is good money. Yeah, I've had this one a couple of times. They tell you, any money, anyhow we raise it, all money is good money. And one thing I help founders do is also to even vet investors. So these investors, of course, they could be impact investors, they could be VCs, they could be angel investors and all that. And you just want to raise money. So most founders are usually desperate. You want to raise money anyhow, from any investor. And then the next minute you're going through this term sheet and you're signing away your business, you're signing away, a lot of things. And you don't even know the implication of what you're saying. You just want to raise money. I tell investors, not all I tell founders, not all investor is right for you. Sometimes the timing may not even be right. At this point in your business, it may not even be, it may not be the right time to be raising pre-seed or seed funding or Series A. The timing may not be right. The growth at that point may not be right. The investor may not be the right investor for you. That funding may not be. If you visit Startup Graveyard, there are some startups that failed because they raised money. And you wonder, why did something so beautiful as fundraising, scattered this business, this beautiful business. So it's actually a problem. So one of the things you do when you want to start your fundraising journey is to sit down and look at most of those things. So what type of funding do you want to raise? What type of investors do you want to speak with? So as investors do due diligence on businesses, you as a business owner, you also do your due diligence on the investor. You want to look at, most of the companies in their portfolio. Okay, they've invested in this company, they've invested in this company. Have there been issues? Are there issues in these businesses? How are the businesses doing? You want to understand these things. Those investment companies, what are their culture? What are the things they invest in, and all of you want to get all those details. You also want to do your due diligence because they want to give you 100,000 USD in exchange for 30% equity. You just want to raise money out of desperation. You sign away your business. So all money is not good money. And 5, rejections means my idea is bad. No. No, I'm here to tell you no. In fact, when I started my first business, Solaris, there was this angel investor who wanted to, get funding from. Spoke to him a couple of times. We shared all the data. This is at the time we started doing some numbers, started making revenue. He wasn't so sure. He wasn't going to sell. How do you want to do this? How do you want to achieve that? How do you want to do this other one? Blah blah blah. So we tried a couple of times. It didn't work, and my team and I said, let's just continue our thing. We just took off. We took off. We started our thing. We got other funding, and of course, we've grown to the point where we are now. I think later on, it got to a point. He came to us with an offer to invest, and at that point, we weren't. We've definitely passed that's tickets. So of course there are tickets to raising fund. There are times when you're doing low ticket, you could be doing 20,000 USD, 50,000 USD, 100,000 USD, and there are times when you're looking at, of course, you have funding goals, funding needs. So at the time when he came back to us, we're way past that ticket. So we wanted to raise bigger funds. So if we took that rejection at that point and said, maybe this idea is not good, let's trash it, we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be doing what we are doing. So rejection does not mean that if an investor rejected your idea or refused to invest in your business, does not mean that the idea is bad or that your business is bad. So let me prepare you. You're going to get a lot of no's, a lot of no's. So when I share my wins, when I share, a lot my congratulatory emails and the funding, the trips, the stakeholders engagement and all that, and get a lot of congratulations, people don't get to see the no's, the rejections. We are sorry to announce to you that, blah, 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 or we regret to let you know, to announce to you that I get a lot of rejections, lots of rejection. You get lots of rejections. So, prepare yourself for it. These are 5 funding myths that most entrepreneurs believe. Thank you.